Scream's original Ghostface killer is back. Everyone thought he died at the end of the first Scream movie, but he lived to see another day. And since then, he's been lurking in the shadows, biding his time to get his revenge.
Okay, Lee, you got me intrigued. But what do you got in the way of evidence? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Miner, and today we are going to be reacting to a theory made by Film Theory about the upcoming Scream 7. And as you saw in the intro there, we may see Stu Macher come back in this movie, so I'm pretty excited. Be sure to let us know what you guys think of the modern Scream films. I obviously prefer the original one, but I actually don't mind the newer ones. So let us know how you guys feel like the new theorists have been doing. I feel like they've been doing perfectly fine. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that just loves to watch you scream. You know what the scariest thing of all is? An unclicked subscribe button.
Yeah, definitely. Click the subscribe button, guys.
So today we are finally covering another classic horror franchise. One that I was really surprised to find that we'd never covered here on the channel. One of the most iconic series in all of cinema with a masked villain you've absolutely seen before. And what is it?
It's a Scream, baby!
Yeah!
An overdue dive into Scream. If you don't know,
Dude,
it's hard to describe
I love
just
Scream.
how big of a deal Scream was when the first movie came out back in '96.
I wasn't even born yet.
But Scream not only revived the slasher genre when everyone thought that type of horror was dead, but it also provided the default Halloween costume for kids to wear for decades to come. Scream also...
It's even still worn to this day.
Scream also had a stacked cast in either their earliest film roles or surprise.
Yeah, because we got Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Drew Barrymore, we got Matthew Lillard, we got a bunch of really great actors in this film. So Lee, you are definitely correct in that regard.
Surprise appearances. For real, there were some iconic actors on this roster. But for our purposes today, the name we want to focus on is Matthew Lillard, who you'll remember as either the best Shaggy.
The best Shaggy. Okay, yeah, you know what, honestly, I'm agreeing with you there. This right here is the best Shaggy. Hey, prove me wrong, guys. Matthew Lillard did a great job playing a Shaggy.
Yeah, Purple Guy's got a history in horror, man. Let me set the scene for you in case it's been a while since you've seen the original Scream, or, you know, you weren't alive yet. Oh, God.
Both cases for me.
In the original movie, our intrepid hero Sydney and her teenage friends are being terrorized by a mysterious masked murderer known as Ghostface. You get it? Because he has the mask that looks like the face of a ghost? Yeah, okay. Eventually, in the movie's big fun twist, it's revealed that there isn't just one killer. No, there are actually two men behind the mask. The first is Sydney's boyfriend, Billy, and the second is Billy's best friend, Stu.
Hey, between the two, Billy and Stu, be sure to let us know which one is your guys' favorite. Me personally, I feel like I do prefer Stu over Billy, but I still love Billy. You know what I mean?
Throughout the film, Billy and Stu go on a murderous rampage, killing around 5 people before their killing spree comes to an end. Billy is shot in the head, and Stu is electrocuted after Sydney drops a CRT TV on his head, bringing Ghostface's reign of terror to an end. Well, at least until the sequel, and the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. And the TV show? All the way up until the new movie coming out this year. It's classic horror movie stuff, but there is a bit of a lingering question coming out of it. And I think letting Lillard ask it himself is the best thing here.
Listen, Stu is definitely alive, right?
Okay, you know what, honestly, his death in that movie honestly did, like, it did leave some lingering questions. So how about I give you guys my personal opinion on that? I do feel like Stu could have survived that. I mean, we do get freaking concept images of what he could look like if he survived. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. Do you think Stu Macher could have survived his death? I feel like he could. Be sure to let us know in the comments.
Yeah. My character, Stu, is definitely alive.
Yeah, he's definitely alive.
A question furthered by the fact that Lillard is returning for Scream 7 next year.
I pointed that out in a recent short.
While Billy getting his mind blown is a pretty cut and dry death, Stu's execution via electrocution does cause me to squint a little bit.
Yeah, see what I mean, guys? People are always super suspicious. Like, people have been suspicious about Stu's death since the film came out back in '96. You know, it seems pretty cut and dry. Like, you know, he got a freaking TV stuck on his head. Like if the electricity doesn't kill him, then logically the weight of the TV probably could. And I even pointed out my predictions for Scream 7, like saying that, you know, Stu's probably going to come back, but Whatever, guys. Let's just continue.
While his death
I'll try not to pause it
iconic
that
horror movie
much.
fare, if we look at it from a real-world perspective, if we apply real-world science and physics here, not only is there a strong case to be made that Stu could have survived his tango with the television, but there's a surprising amount of evidence hidden throughout the franchise suggesting he did. And that right there, my friends, opens the door for the character's return in Scream 7, biding his time, waiting for his moment to strike.
Wait, it's coming out in February? Wouldn't it make more sense for it to come out in December of this year rather than February of next year? Because if you guys saw my theory, you guys would know that it probably is going to talk about prequels, since it's always talking about movie sequels and stuff. Because like the first one was about horror movies, second was about sequels, third was about trilogies, blah 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 blah. Then you guys would know that my theory was that Scream 7 was going to take place about, you know, it was gonna talk about prequels. So logically, you would want it to come out on a similar day to the original, which was, I think, a few days before Christmas. I don't remember. You guys know what I mean.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that Stu is back because he always comes back. I'm sorry I had to. We're contractually obligated to make FNAF jokes on this channel.
It's all good,
and
man.
He may very well be the secret mastermind behind the entire Scream franchise. So today, loyal
Okay, now that one, okay. Him being alive, I can understand, but him being the secret mastermind, that's kind of a stretch, don't you think?
So today, loyal theorists, you're getting a 2-in-1. A mini-theory mashup explaining to you how Stu should have survived his death in the original film, and laying out how he will return as the big bad in the new Scream movie months before it comes out. So get your masks and draw your blades, loyal theorists, as we figure out what's up with the original Ghostface Killer.
Okay. I was gonna say something, but then the what's that right there, that made me laugh. If you guys don't know what that's from, then you guys haven't watched Scary Movie, which was a Scream parody. Here's a little clip of the scene he's referencing here.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo.
What's up?
But honestly, I feel like, you know, him saying that Stu is still alive, I feel like that could be plausible. But him saying that Stu is the mastermind here, I feel like that's kind of a bit of a stretch. I said that earlier, but let's keep an open mind. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Alright, first up, we need to address the television-shaped elephant in the room. Obviously, during the third act climax of the very first Scream movie, Sidney pushes an old-school CRT TV onto Stu's face. If you're too young, basically, CRT TVs are those massive box
So it's like old TVs.
at your grandparents' house or at, like, Smash Brothers tournaments.
I actually used to use one when I was a kid. I kid you freaking not. Last time I used one was in, I don't remember when it was. It was not the last house we were at. It was the house before that, and it had like a VHS player and a DVD player in it. It was dope, man. Honestly, I feel like we should probably just go back to that. I feel like that was good, like, you know, watching old VHS tapes and watching DVDs. I am willing to bet that a lot of our viewers don't know what those are.
Anyway, the television falls onto Stu's face and sparks fly as Stu lights up like a Christmas tree. Now, at first glance, this seems like a pretty gruesome
May need
and
to
pretty
censor a lot of that.
straightforward way to go. I mean, these old school CRT TVs were no joke. They'd often have a voltage of anywhere between 24 and 32,000 volts, well above what's considered lethal for humans.
Yeah, I think it's like 2400 or something.
1,000 volts is considered absolutely lethal, but even something as small as 2400 volts.
2400.
And what's worse is that these televisions could even retain a lot of that voltage long after they were unplugged. So even if the TV magically became unplugged while falling to hit Stu, that wouldn't save him. But do you know what would have saved him? The glass. See, between those high voltages, CRTs also contained dangerous metals, vacuum tubes, and could even give off low levels of X-ray radiation.
That's
These
true.
classic
That's true.
CRTs were dangerous.
That's actually how they got all like the lights and the TV colors in them, so that way you can, like, you know, actually watch TV. But apparently that was like very toxic. So what they had to do was they had to have some really, really thick glass in there, so that way they don't, you know, so that way they don't murder you. A lot of TVs nowadays, like the one we're watching this on right now, is a flat screen. They don't really have to worry about that nowadays, but you know, back then, it wasn't as simple. You know what I mean? This was back when my dad was a kid.
These classic CRTs were dangerous on the inside, and the people who made and designed these things understood that. That means that in order for these bad boys to wind up in every living room across the country, they were packaged with some crazy safety measures, and one of those things was the glass. To protect against the threat of electrocution, the glass and the casing for these TVs were designed to insulate the electrical components from the outside. That's why you can go touch a CRT screen and not get electrocuted. Well, at least nothing more than a shock from static electricity. I actually wanted to debunk entire...
Dude, I remember like when I was using like my TV as a kid, I would, you know, every single child at one point has walked up and touched the TV. I remember getting like an electrical shock every single time. Like, you know, I thought like the TV was like malfunctioning or something. That was until I learned about static electricity. I'm sure we all were like that at one point.
That a television falling over like we see here in Scream would create such a violent reaction from the electricity within it, and just couldn't, because we can't account for all the variables of the television and how old it is and the wear and tear it might have and the malfunctions of the components going on inside. But either
That's
way,
fair. Plus you would need a real world example, like an actual human who's willing to test it, if you know what I mean.
But either way, Stu would have been protected from whatever's happening in here with the electronics, with all the sparks flying everywhere, even if that did happen. But wait, I hear you saying, what if the screen broke and Stu's head was literally inside of the TV? And hey, that's a great question.
Okay, is that even possible?
Either. The glass used in CRT televisions was actually made with metals like lead, barium, and strontium.
Okay, I know that those are very powerful metals, like they're very strong, but lead is a very dangerous one. Cause like it's very heavy, so like if it gets dropped on you, there's a chance that it could potentially murder you. Also, lead poisoning.
And that also had the side effect of making the glass significantly stronger. Believe me, it's not easy to crack this glass and get to the electrical insides, even if you're trying. I mean, just look at this video of someone going to town on a CRT with an aluminum baseball bat. It hurts this dude's hand and bends the bat before actually damaging the television at all. Now compare that to the absolutely tiny fall from the film, and the idea of the glass shattering and Stu getting electrocuted by whatever's malfunctioning inside is just unlikely.
Press exit out.
Story on this, but I actually used to have a CRT in my bedroom when I was a teenager. It was a hand-me-down from my mom, and it's what I played all my old school Nintendo games on. Sure.
Like I mentioned earlier, same here.
I had it sort of precariously perched on the edge of this display stand, and one day it tipped over, fell a solid foot or two, and face planted on the hardwood floor. Not unlike what we see with Stu, actually. But the TV had
same here, man.
I was terrified it was going to be broken because I couldn't afford another TV at the time. But when I got it all set back up, it was actually mostly fine. The screen was mostly intact. It turned on. Everything worked. The only thing off was a bit of color distortion at the edge of the screen.
What? Okay, I kid you not, I had the same story at one point. So I mentioned earlier that when I was a kid we used the same TVs. Well, I actually knocked one off a shelf one time, and I'm pretty sure it even landed on my leg, but like, you're telling me it could have still worked? I was like super upset that day because I thought that it was broken. But you're telling me I could have just plopped it back up onto the thing and it would have been perfectly fine? Now I'm angry, guys. Let's continue.
Close to where it first made contact with the floor. The fact is, there's just little possibility that the TV would have been cracked or damaged enough for Stu to be electrocuted. In fact, the thing he probably would have needed to worry about more was the weight of these things. Thanks to those thick screens, CRTs similar to what we see here in Scream would have weighed somewhere between 50 and 150 pounds.
That's true. Like I said earlier, it landed on my leg. I don't remember how much it weighed. I don't remember how old I was. I know I was less than 10. It actually, I'm pretty sure it looked something kind of like this, but actually resembled more like the one that he showed us a second ago. If you guys can look at this image right here and let me know like how much you think this thing weighed, then you guys can just like let me know in the comments, because this thing was freaking heavy, man.
If that got dropped on your head with no warning, that could seriously damage you, give you a concussion, or could potentially crack or crush your skull. So then, Stu should be dead? Well, no.
Definitely.
Rewatch the scene. Stu was prepared. Not only did he get off a good, well, scream before the television lands on him, but if you slow down the scene frame by frame, look closely and you'll see that Stu managed to get his hands up to block the TV in time, which would have absorbed some of the impact. If this actually happened to someone in real life, he might have broken some bones, maybe broken his nose. He might have been knocked unconscious, but he almost certainly would have survived. So, okay, if Stu didn't die here, that means that there's still a ghost-faced killer somewhere out there.
And you know what else that means? You got me convinced. Stu Macher is still alive.
Oh, okay, if Stu didn't die here, that means that there's still a ghost-faced killer somewhere out there, lurking in the background. Doesn't it? And yeah, it does. And we actually see plenty of places where Stu pops up in series after his alleged death, if you're eagle-eyed and beagle-eared enough to notice. In Scream 2, it's been confirmed that this partygoer here in the background was in fact played by Matthew Lillard, a little Stu cameo for anyone paying attention. And in Scream 5, listen carefully to one of the characters here in the background of this party.
Hey, Freeman, cool house.
Recognize that
Freeman.
voice? Let's play it again.
Hey, Freeman, cool house.
Yep, that's Lillard.
I thought those were just Easter eggs. Also, when he said,
Hey, Freeman, cool house.
I honestly low-key thought he was talking about Morgan Freeman. I don't know why. Just the thought of that, man, is actually pretty cool because, like I mentioned earlier, he's one of my personal favorite ghost faces. Let's just continue and see what Lee has to say.
By the way, this cool house that he mentions, guess who used to live there? If you guess Stu,
It's the Macher house.
100 points to you, my friend. Were these just fun little uncredited cameos and Easter eggs meant as fan service for hardcore screamers? Absolutely. But this is film theory. We thrive on taking this stuff to the logical extreme. And
Hell
if you keep
yeah.
pulling on this thread, if we take a good, long, hard look in the mirror, well, you'll find that the ghost face looking back at you might not only be back to cause chaos in Scream 7, but he could very well be the mastermind behind most of the murder in the whole series.
Maybe.
So after Stu and Billy's untimely demise at the end of the first film, that wasn't the end of the Ghostface killer, clearly. I mean, the movie was a success. They had to keep making sequels. But in each of these
That's true.
subsequent movies,
That's true. If a movie was super successful, you make a sequel, and if that's successful, you make another sequel, and whether that is not successful or whether it's successful, you keep making sequels until the entire series is dead.
But in each of these subsequent movies, it was a new person or persons under the iconic mask, carrying out some new murderous scheme. But
Honestly, I feel like that the lore behind the characters just kept getting more and more convoluted each time. Like, I'd say roughly Scream 3 is probably where it was at the prime lore, I believe, because like that one, Roman tipped off Billy on what happened, and yeah, and I'd say like, you know, Scream 4 is roughly where I feel like the lore started to plummet a little bit, although I do love Scream 4 because it was the first one I've ever watched. Whatever, guys, let's continue.
here was that the killers, regardless of their motivations or means of murder, basically all of them had some special connection to one person in particular, Sydney, the protagonist of the first movie and the prototypical girl who lived. Obviously, there's Sydney's boyfriend Billy from the first film, but also in Scream 2, the role of Ghostface is taken over by Billy's mother. In the third film, Roman is Sydney's long-lost half-brother given up for adoption. Jill
The
from
whiny
Scream
one
4 was Sydney's cousin, and in Scream 5, Richie is dating Billy's daughter, Sam. The only Ghostface who didn't have a direct connection to Sydney was from Scream 6, which also happened to be the only Scream movie Sydney wasn't in. It would appear that someone out there...
Wait, was she not in? Was she not in Scream 6? Were there any scenes with Sydney? Where's my phone at?
A few minutes later.
Okay, so I just googled it because I couldn't remember. It says here that Neve Campbell did not reprise her role as Sydney Prescott due to a pay dispute. That kind of makes no sense because, you know, Scream without Sydney is kind of like Scooby-Doo without Shaggy, I guess. Whatever, let's continue.
It would appear that someone out there has a grudge against Sydney, and I wonder who that could be. Oh, and also just real quick, even though Sam was the protagonist of Scream 5, there's still a world where it makes sense where Stu would also want to hurt her. In Scream 3, we learned that Billy's original plan was to pin the whole thing on Stu. Imagine the rage Stu must have felt when he heard about that. But since Billy died, he couldn't get revenge on him. But the next best thing, his daughter, someone also stalked by the Ghostface killer. But the thing that really makes this all make sense, what ties all of these strange cameos and why all of these characters seem to be out for blood against Sydney and Sam, the puzzle piece that has everything in this web connect back to Stu? Well, Scream 7 wasn't the first time the filmmakers considered bringing Stu back.
That's true, Scream 3.
In fact, it's an idea that the Scream franchise creator Kevin Williamson has had on the top of his mind for decades. All the way back in the late 2000s, Matthew Lillard confirmed that he was originally meant to reprise his role as Stu for Scream 3.
That is true. They were going to, like, you know, do something regarding him controlling a bunch of teenagers or something like that. But, like, due to some real-world event, they couldn't. Honestly, I feel like that would have made a really great plot for a Scream movie. You guys can let me know what you guys think, but honestly, I actually don't hate that idea. Okay, so the thing I just mentioned about the real-world event, they actually went in depth about it. We're going to have to cut all that out because of YouTube, but just know that what happened did have a major impact on the movie and video game department. So they had to censor a lot of Scream 3, so that and just completely change the story. They took it to a whole new director and a whole new writer, and that gave us the story that we have today for Scream 3. That's actually the part that I just skipped to, so let's continue.
Respect for the victims, Williamson scrapped the script for Scream 3, and another writer came in to overhaul the plot. And because of this, Stu's return to the world of horror was completely removed.
Yep.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the story disappeared from the minds of its creators.
They still had it on hand.
Williamson did go on to write and produce Scream 4, he hasn't really had much to do with the day-to-day creation of the series since then. He was an executive producer on both 2022's Scream and Scream 6. An executive producer basically just gives a thumbs up to a project and gets paid for it. And he wrote the pilot episode for the Scream TV series that apparently existed before it went on to have 3 seasons.
Let me know what you guys thought of the Scream TV series. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but apparently it has like mixed reviews, saying that some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. And apparently, like, you know, despite having a different Ghostface who goes by the Lakeshore Strangler or something like that, I don't remember. No, wait, that's Chucky. I don't remember what it's called, so we'll toss it up at the top of the screen. But apparently they do bring back the original Ghostface in the 3rd season, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Just let us know what you guys thought of it.
Run by somebody else. The upcoming Scream 7 is the first movie Williamson has had a direct creative hand in decades. In fact, he's the director of this new movie. Scream 7 also had a lot of troubles in its production. That basically its entire cast were either fired or left the project early on, requiring a complete rewrite very quickly. So this is how I see things playing out. We know that theoretically Stu should have survived the television hitting his head. We know that Williamson also thinks that this should have happened and that he wanted this plot to happen.
I mean, it works from a real world science.
Where Williamson came onto this project, collaborated with writers for the new movie, and put together a new story very fast. And what better way to do that than picking up an abandoned storyline and finally letting it pay off? Finally letting Stu return after stewing in his hatred for years to enact his revenge against those that he believes wronged him. And hell, he might even be pulling the strings from prison, just like we know he was going to in that original plot for Scream 3. And now, with Scream 7, he can take matters into his own hands, put the mask back on, and reclaim his title as the original Ghostface Killer. Finally bringing this franchise and his character full circle. And most importantly, fulfilling Stu's promise from the very first Scream movie.
I'll be right back.
But hey,
oh wait, what does it say? Ghostface, I can explain. You're getting 3 new movies. I'm only getting a reboot. I'm only getting a TV show, which is actually better in my opinion. You guys are making content. Nice. But seriously, the "I'll be right back" thing, that's like the best line in the entire movie. Well, I mean, aside from...
Surprise, Sydney.
It's a Scream, baby. Hit me with the phone.
But seriously, just take a listen.
Fulfilling Stu's promise from the very first Scream movie.
I'll be right back.
But hey, that's just a theory.
A film theory.
And cut.
Alright. That was a good one. That was a good one. Woo! Guys, that was a good one. That was an insane one, guys. That was the video on film theory talking about Stu Macher still being alive, and is also the first Scream video they ever did. Honestly, you guys should definitely let us know what you guys think of this theory. Do you feel like Stu Macher's still alive and has secretly been pulling the strings of all the other movies? Let us know in the comments. Me personally, he's got me convinced. I actually kind of believe it. But you guys can let us know what you guys think by going down to the comments and letting us know whether you believe this theory. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and also ring the bell. And also remember, the spooky season is coming up soon, so be sure to leave some ideas for spooky videos you want to see us do. And yeah, if you ever want to know some facts about spring locks, go over to that video right there where we go in depth about all the different types of spring lock suits and everything. And also that video was chosen specifically by YouTube for you guys. We'll also throw a playlist right there, plus a button to subscribe to the channel if you guys want to. And with that, guys, this is Miner signing off for now. I love every single one of you guys. You guys are awesome. And remember, it's not a habit, it's a lifestyle.